Welcome to the Logical Gamers podcast, also known as LogiCast. I'm Esoteric, along with
I'm Blanca Kong.
Gunner Eels here.
Shadow Wolf.
We got a full house. Full house.
Yes, we do. And today we're going to be discussing some topics pertaining to games. There's going to be other topics in the future, but as of right now, there's going to be topics based upon current events and also just generalistic topics based upon the gaming world or nerd culture or whatever. So today, one of our first topics is going to be Bungie and Ubisoft are taking cheat makers to court. Hong, do you want to give a synopsis on the article or?
Sure. So Bungie and Ubisoft are teaming up to take on a company called Ring One, which is a company that makes cheats for different games, including Destiny 2, Rainbow Six, Dead by Daylight, Call of Duty Warzone, Rust, Apex Legends, PUBG, a bunch of different games. These guys make aimbots, ESP tools, which allows you to see other players in the map, see health bars, see how far they are from you, things like that. They alter weapon attributes, so spread, recoil. You can change that and customize your guns in a way that isn't typically allowed. Long knifing, which allows you to like knife people or melee people from across the map. ID spoofing, so if you're a player who was banned, you can basically scrub your account and play anyway, even if the publishers of the game have banned you. So they're taking those guys to court to make an example out of them. There are multiple companies that do these cheats, but this is the company, I guess, that has caused the most damage or is making the most money. These services start at like $25 a week for people to use. So
Yeah,
pretty crazy stuff.
that's what blew my mind when they said it was a week. Like it wasn't even a month or a year. This is a week. You're paying that much a week to cheat at a video game?
Yeah, they were
Pretty bad.
like I think the article mentioned that it was 25 euros, which when I checked it equates to almost $30 in US for Rainbow Six, and it was 30 euros for Destiny 2, which if I'm not mistaken equated up to
Like
about
35.
$35.
Mhm.
So
It varies from game to game, but those are the examples listed in the article. And they do way more games than the ones I mentioned. Those are just some of the bigger titles.
yeah.
Um,
But
yeah.
when I read
So
that shit, I was like, what the fuck? It was subscription purchases. It wasn't like Game Genie back in the days where you just purchased it and you entered the codes in yourself, or they had them like preloaded and whatnot, or like Game Shark. So it was
but I
something
think the
else.
big difference between this and something like Game Shark is with Game Shark or Game Genie or cheat codes, it was primarily used in a single player
Yeah,
Yeah.
experience
yeah.
where it only affected you. And I'm okay with that because that's your game. You can do whatever it is you want to do. Same thing with like modifications. If you're playing Skyrim or Fallout or something like that, and you want to change the game to either make the experience more entertaining or make it more unique, then I'm okay with that personally.
Mhm.
When you're applying these cheats to multiplayer games and you're affecting other people's experience,
Mhm.
that's where I draw the line personally.
Yeah.
That's why this topic is pretty interesting
No,
to me.
I 100% agree. Due to the fact that you're kind of stepping on other people's experiences, especially within a competitive field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it were co-op, you might draw the line here and there because if it's co-op, some people be like, okay, he has infinite ammo, so the game will be easier. But some people want to deal with that, tug of war with the difficulty and whatnot. So you're kind of like stepping on the experiences of the bosses, the enemies, and so on for other players that you co-op with. So I agree 100% in regards to it being just for single players. I have no quarrels with that.
I don't get it. If you're having that many issues with a game and you can't climb the ranks, you're stuck in a certain elo, right? It's maybe just like that's the elo you belong in, right? Because when I used to play Overwatch back before what it was now in the early days, I made it to like around platinum, and I was stuck. A lot of people know the phrase. It's a League of Legends phrase as well. When you're hard stuck in plat. Like, yeah, I was hard stuck in plat for a while, and maybe that was where I was destined to be, right? Maybe I'm not a grandmaster or a master level player, but you know what? I got to platinum by myself. Like I got through bronze, silver, gold. You know, I got up to low plat. So I got through like plat 5, plat 4, 3, all the way to 1. So I don't know if you gotta like spend money on some shady third party software, because let's not forget that this stuff is not regulated, right? You're trusting random people on the internet, and a lot of these cheats, they're designed to get around anti cheats. Like I know CS:GO has it, Valorant, so on and so on. So in order to do that, you have to give these people like some pretty serious access to your personal computer in order to get around these anti cheats. So that's a whole nother kettle of fish with giving people that much power over other people's devices and what they could, what information they could potentially garner from all that, and all that for a competitive game. Like, look, if you're stuck in a certain elo, either just play it out, grind it out, get better, do what you got to do, or maybe just find something different. Because if you're gonna go through this length to cheat just so you can get some digital, bragging rights, I don't see the point. It's a waste of money, and it's exposing your machine to maybe some nefarious shit. It's just not for me. Play something else, or just play the game. Why you gotta take it so like why you have to be so serious? I know it sounds cliche, but it's too much for me. Too much for me.
Why so serious?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said grind it out, get better, practice. People don't want to do that nowadays. At the
Yeah,
majority,
you're right
at
about
least
that.
in my personal experience, majority players, or a good amount of players, I would say, don't want to grind it out. The thing is with competitive, if you're a competitive person, or if you get into something that's competitive, the worst feeling about being competitive, which should be the best feeling, but it is the worst feeling for a lot of people or average people, is the aspect of losing. So if you win and win and win and win and win, you don't really learn anything. But when you lose is when you actually learn, because then you have these factors that came into why you lost. You can look at those factors, you can adjust those factors, get better at those factors. But the feeling of losing in general, I think most people, average people, don't like that feeling. They don't like to be uncomfortable if they're going to play a video, if they're going to play what they consider is their pastime or their hobby or their, escapism of their reality. So it boils down to, well, it's either A, the person has low integrity and just doesn't respect the game in itself. So they feel like paying for these hacks or using these hacks is a nice way to troll people online, or it's just a nice way to get up to the highest rank in a quick way. Versus others who's just like, well, forget this. I don't like losing. I don't like the feeling of losing. So I don't want to practice. I don't want to grind. I don't got time for that, whether it's family or my job or whatever is getting in the way of all of that. So screw it. I'll pay the 25 to level up. It's like MMO. When I play Final Fantasy 11 and I play Final Fantasy 14, the constant private messages I would get is, hey, for such and such amount of money, we can grind your character. And it would just be like those constant private messages, constant private messages, constant private messages, because obviously this company is doing it because it's a system that works,
Oh
and
yeah.
if it's a system that works, they're gonna capitalize on it. People don't like losing, people don't like feeling behind. And that's why these cheats, these companies can say, okay, well, we can create this and you can then catch up to people who are better than you, or get you to that certain point in the game where you can feel comfortable to where you can hold your own. So that leads to my next question is, Ubisoft and what's the other company?
Bungie.
Bungie.
Bungie, are they wasting their time. Because, like I said again, the way I see it, or if I'm playing multiple video games with multiplayer, whether it's a fighting game, a shooting game, an MMO, I've experienced people who've cheated on multiple levels against me. And it's like, well, it's like, let's compare it to like pirated movies, right? So we have one website you can go to, and it's like, okay, I can watch these movies for free. I can watch movies for free on this website. A couple months down the line, whoever is responsible for catching up with them catches up with them. They shut the website down. All you do is Google another one. As it's like a constant. It's like an infinite loop, or like in this particular realm, it's like a phoenix. One dies, a next rises. One dies, a next rises. So what's the name of the company that's being sued?
Ring One.
Ring One. So Ring One, Bungie and Ubisoft winning this case, because I would see that they would win it. I would hope that they win it. But them winning it, they're gonna, Ring One will go down. But like, hypothetically, what's gonna stop Ring Two from rising?
Hydra.
Or Ring Three, or Ring Four, or Ring Five. It's like these companies are just gonna keep. One will go down, but another person is gonna take that risk to make quick bucks before they go down, because in the end of the day, people will pay to not feel like a loser.
And
That's just.
You said a lot there, and I think there's a lot to unpack there. So, Esoteric, you wanna go first?
Well, I was just
And
gonna
respond?
say to Dev's point, in regards to that, I feel like some gaming companies kind of like package cheating, in some way, shape, or form. For example, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me guys if I'm wrong, you'll have games like EA, companies like EA who creates Madden, and they sell character points to you to be able to elevate your character. And those games, most of their most of the play time that you get from those games are from the competitive aspect of it. So I kind of feel like
I think that varies
it
from
it, de-
person to person.
it definitely does vary in terms of the play time. Um,
Mhm.
but like this is based upon like the people that I've spoken with.
Okay, fair
Um,
enough.
like they usually play through like multiplayer. Very few of them play franchise, but most of it, most of their playtime comes from the actual um internet, like the competitive play of playing against someone else.
Mhm.
So my point is like, and I guess my question is too, like, do you guys feel like when companies sell things such as extra points for players to elevate their characters to make them more potentially easier to like dominate in a competitive field, would you consider that a form of cheating as well?
Mm, ah, I wouldn't say that.
I don't.
Yeah. Now, I'm not over here defending scumbag corpos that charge you X amount of money so you can play a slot machine so you can get a shiny LeBron. I'm not defending that. What I'm saying is this level of cheating, it goes beyond that. It breaks the game. Because
I,
this
Yeah.
level of this level of cheating is like I see you through a wall. No microtransaction you buy in Call
Will
of
break the
Duty,
game.
yeah, no microtransaction. Like these allow you to see through walls. These have aimbot that like you'll snap to a target and laser them down.
yeah.
Like these are
Mhm.
beyond the scope of even the most scumbag microtransactions out there. So this type of cheating, that's on a whole nother level.
Yeah, it definitely is at a whole another level. I was just asking because like does basically what I was trying to ask is does this open up the gates, like the whole transactions of increase your stamina? But I get your point because in that particular case is yeah, you get more points to elevate your character. However, the play style remains the same. It's up to you, the player, to actually bring that out of the player as the avatar, the character, as opposed to like said person who buys content from Ring One and they basically kind of exploit the game mechanics, so to speak.
So I'll jump in real quick. You guys said a lot, so I'm just gonna try to be quick with my points. So to answer your question, Esoteric, about what's the difference between transactions that do change the game versus these online modifications that you pay for via a third party company. I'll say this just to get this out the way. The main difference is one is monetized and one isn't. So these online cheats from these third party companies, Ubisoft and Bungie aren't making any money from this. And those companies are the ones who put out this game. So if they're not seeing any money from these services, that's a problem, right? From a business standpoint. So I understand from a business standpoint why this is an issue.
Agreed. Okay.
But from a gamer consumer standpoint, it changes the game, right? In a less controlled fashion. So the difference between a microtransaction for Call of Duty, a gun that's like slightly better or slightly different from like other, let's say a DLC shotgun versus like the base game shotguns. If the DLC shotgun is deemed the best shotgun in the game by like a small margin, then yes, it is an advantage, but it's a marginal advantage that won't take a rank, like a bronze rank player to gold, right? Versus something like an aimbot or seeing people through walls, that could take a bronze rank player to platinum or gold status very easily. So that's the difference, is the discrepancy in power, because microtransaction content is usually scaled to what the game design is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think that's the main difference from a consumer standpoint, where it changes the game. Excuse me. The other point is, again, the companies, the publishers, these guys aren't making any money off of it. And I'm not crying a river for corporate, but I'm more so concerned with the artists of the industry, the modelers, the designers, the programmers. These people work a lot of long hours all day for years to give us these games, and for them to be cheated financially and also cheated out as to what their vision is for that game, I think that's pretty tragic. So, and to answer Wolf's question earlier about whether or not Ubisoft and Bungie and other companies who decide to take on these third-party organizations to court, are they wasting their time? I could see that argument, but they can't do nothing, right? I think it's futile in the sense that, yes, if Ring 1 gets taken down in court and they're forced to pay a bunch of money back to these other to the main publishers, there will be more companies that are going to do the same thing. There'll be a Ring 2 and a Ring 3. But the likelihood of Ring 2 and Ring 3 existing is a little less if there's an example made out of Ring 1, if that makes any sense. So I think Ubisoft and Bungie coming together to take down this particular organization is a good thing, because it shows, hey, this action, this behavior isn't going to go unpunished, and it's going to cost you. So, there's a clear risk to reward factor when trying to build a business like this with online cheating.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
definitely makes sense.
I mean, I can't condone those who do cheat, because I've never cheated in that realm of, I've never altered my video games in that realm or scale that these people are paying a weekly subscription for. It's just crazy. It's a weekly subscription.
Yeah,
but
it's not even monthly or yearly. It's weekly.
Well, I have. So
Mhm.
I have. When we played Final Fantasy 11, 10 or 12 years ago, whenever it was, I paid for Gil. I paid $30 or whatever to have in-game gold given to me, because getting gold in that game was ridiculous. So I did it. But the difference, and I'm willing to admit that, and if people want to crap on me for it and call me a hypocrite, that's fine, you can.
Nah, I
but
wouldn't consider that hypocritical.
You wouldn't, but some others would.
It is the same. It would be defined as hypocrisy. However, go ahead, make a justification, because I would like to.
I was just gonna say the only difference between me doing that and a guy buying an aimbot for Call of Duty is I'm not affecting somebody else's gameplay.
Right.
That's what I was
There you go.
gonna say.
That's what I was expecting you to say. is that
Yeah.
in the end of the day, yes, okay, so you bought the guild from the game for the game, but Final Fantasy 11 is a co-op game in the end of the
Yeah.
day. So
Yeah.
you are buying you bought the guild to then invest it into your character so that you can help, or well, so that you can be in groups and be a more effective player.
Yeah.
That's while it is
It
by
is cheating.
definition
Yeah.
right. It is
It
by
is.
definition cheating. I won't even say I'll personally let that go, but at the end of the day, it's on the scale of whether you want to. Doing something wrong is doing something wrong regardless. But at the same time, there's a scale to it.
Yeah.
Like if some video games, like for instance, as of late, me and Blanca Kong have been playing Outriders. Some video games do have aim
Fortunately.
assist. Some video games do have aim assist. And if you turn on the aim assist for Outriders specifically, it it does control where your gun go. It feels like
Yeah.
aimbotting. It's a very strong how can I put it, a very
Like
strong
a
mechanic
magnetic
that you
pull,
right. It
to
feels
make
like a
sure that you're not
magnetic
wasting
pull.
bullets. Yeah.
So it's there. I turned it off personally because n- it's just
Me
weird
too.
to use. I've never used aim assist before, so it's weird to start using now. But at the same time, it's just like that is a scale. There's aim assist, but then there's aim bots. You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like those who will cheat in a fighting game to where they have infinite HP, or you know their characters or your character can't block, for an example. That's like really, guy.
Or
I
land
rather
switching.
or land switching. I would rather fight someone who uses three cheesy characters or two cheesy characters or a cheesy character that is designed by the game to easily win than to really fight someone who has no skill at the game, but they're paying someone to take a huge advantage away from me. It just doesn't make sense. And again, it goes back to not feeling not wanting to be a loser, because we don't want to lose to people who are cheating, and people who are cheating don't want to lose to people who are better. So it all comes back down to the emotions that you feel
Yeah.
when you're investing your time into video games. And that's why I feel like these companies they're moving forward, they're going to exist. But I can humbly agree that I really do feel like companies, yeah, they have to constantly do things. They have to constantly put out what you would call firewalls to prevent their games from being hacked or people lowering the integrity of their games. It sucks. It does suck, but it takes a very mature person to get over the feeling of losing. It's a different mindset. It's a higher level of mindset, in my opinion, personally, in my opinion. But that's my take on it. I just hope that Ubisoft and Bungie goal gets accomplished, and I do hope that these guys go down. And for those who are cheating,
You're a
wow,
bitch.
guy, yeah,
You're a
Yeah.
I
bitch
wasn't gonna
ass.
say it, but
Nah, I'm gonna
Blanca
call
called
it
it
out. I don't
straight
care.
up. He
If
took it
you
straight from
cheat,
my mouth. Like, yo,
if you
like,
cheat in a multiplayer game with other people, you're a bitch. Straight up. You're a bitch.
Yeah, because
Just like
that's
an athlete who cheats and uses like
steroids and
steroids.
steroids or stuff that isn't approved by like whatever organization, you're a bitch. You're a bitch. That shouldn't be allowed.
it, it
And
definitely shouldn't.
fucking
Especially for guys like us who actually, we play games as a sense of like fulfillment in regards to like when we compete against one another, we're not using any cheats or whatever. We're using everything within the realm of the mechanics of the game. So we do that to practice and get better against other people.
Everybody doesn't have honor. That's the difference. People, there are dirty players out there, and there are people who don't care about honor, who only care about feeling good, getting that dopamine hit, winning a match, and calling it a day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There are people who don't have time like we have time, right? Not that I'm saying we all have all the time in the world to play these games. We don't, but we're willing to put in the work,
Yeah.
right? For the most part. If you're asking me to earn gil the normal way in Final Fantasy 11, I'll tell you to fuck off because it's too much. But in most games, I'm willing to do the work and work within the confines of the game design in order to achieve whatever goal it is I have in mind, whether it's to be top of the leaderboard or to finish the game or whatever it may be. So yeah,
Yeah,
if you
I mean,
cheat, you're a bitch.
yeah, like perfect example. People here know, but for the viewers, I stopped playing fighting games. I like them; they're cool. I like characters in them, but I don't have a natural affinity towards fighting games like some members of the group. So I would have to, grind more and practice more and all that. It's like I personally didn't feel like doing any of that. Like I just didn't. I didn't find enjoyment in that. I also didn't find enjoyment in getting my ass whooped. But I knew that I didn't want to put in the work to get better. So I was like, all right, I don't want to do that. I don't like getting beaten for 5 hours straight. So what am I gonna do? I just stopped playing.
Yeah.
Stopped buying them. Came to the conclusion that fighting games are just not for me, and moved on. I'm not gonna buy a fucking cheat program so I can press W key and I'm doing a 40 hit combo with Cammy. Not gonna do all that. It's a waste because I'm not better. The script is better. So
Mhm.
I just stopped playing. I put it down. Like, all right, this isn't for me. I'll watch it. I'll watch my friends play. I'll watch professionals play. I understand what they're talking about, so I'm not lost in a conversation. But it's just not my cup of tea. So I'm just gonna put it down.
And
A lot of
and
people can't do that though.
and I think that's the problem with some players. Like they feel like their association with said script means that they themselves are better. That's not the case. You know what I'm saying? The inputs within the game itself that are telling you to do it on your own through a controller or a keyboard or whatever tool you're using to play the game, by you executing those maneuvers, make you a better player, not said script. So I definitely get your point in regards to that.
I mean, and God forbid that the day comes when you run out of money, or you're like, you know what? I don't need to pay for this cheat service anymore. I'm good. You're in Grandmasters. You're at the top. Like you on the top, like 5% of the player base, and you go into a match. I'm like, all right, I'm good. I'm good, and you get destroyed.
Fraud.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be like, bro, what are you doing in Grand? They're gonna be like, you are boosted. You are a fucking How much you pay for that account? You bought that account? Because that's not your account. Like you'll receive more shame the day you stop cheating than if you just were like, hey man, I am stuck at platinum, and maybe because I busted my ass, I grinded, I learned the character, I got up to masters. 1 year, I was low rank masters. Like they're gonna respect you more than you cheating. You know, you coming in white Fatalis armor when the last day you were rocking food armor. You know, people are gonna respect you a lot more if you stuck with that cuckoo armor and beat that
Redacted.
monster.
Redact that information.
So just
That's
the moral of
an
the
inside joke for everybody.
it says the people who get it, they'll get it. Don't know.
Someday we'll go over that. But
So like,
Was
just
that a aimbot assist? Cause that shit hit
Targeted
me.
as fuck.
That shit hit me.
look, man.
Jesus.
Look, this is
So-
coming from the same guy who got so pissed at Monster Hunter World Fatalis. I beat him once and said, "Fuck that shit, I'm done. I got I don't want the armor. I want nothing to do with that." But
it's
I
true.
didn't boot up
You
a
did-
fucking.
you threw in the towel, but you did get the W, and you're like, that's enough for me. Now, I feel like we owe context to the viewers because that one came out of left field. So
Dude, I'm shooting from the hip, man.
that's fine. That's what the show is about. So, just some context for those who don't play Monster Hunter.
He's still laughing.
I'm sorry.
Going back to Monster Hunter 2
sorry.
on the PSP, White Fatalis was the strongest monster in the game. It was like the final end game boss. And so his armor is arguably the best armor in the game. So there was another Hunter, part of the group, who overnight had, low level gear and walks into the gathering hall with white Fatalis armor, something none of us have ever seen before. Didn't even know it existed. And he had it on. And we're like, what the hell is that? And he was like, yeah, it's my white Fatalis armor. He just said it casually, like, oh, this old thing. And it's like, you're a goddamn cheater. Like, you didn't earn that.
Mind
you
you, this is, for those who remember, this is back in the day where you can literally download other people's save files off of GameFAQs.
This was like 2008. This is quite some time
ago. This wasn't, to be fair to this person, he didn't like cheat or use malicious software. This was like someone...
He didn't do it honorably.
Right.
He didn't earn it. Right?
Somebody put their save data up there, and anybody could have downloaded it. But it's the principle.
Yeah,
to be fair.
Anybody could have downloaded
it. We could have done it too. But
group in it. So he killed the integrity of
the group of the group and the game.
And I would also say like I guess because at that time I didn't get to play 2. I only played it with Wolf because I tried to at the time when you guys introduced it to me. It wasn't for me at the time. I guess
it's okay. You're a pussy. We get it.
I came back. I came back, motherfucker. I came back.
Sorry,
asshole. No, but stop laughing, damn it. Anyway, no, but at that time, I guess I just wasn't ready for it, or I didn't take the time to invest into it.
Exact moral of the story: you didn't take the time to get better.
Yeah, until 3 came about. So what I was trying to say was basically
an easier Master Hannah.
It probably. I went back to 2 though. You're my witness. We went back to 2. And we 2-manned pretty much everything in the game.
Yeah, we did. But
the point
I'm gonna stop.
No, but I was
that was context to the story, and that's the equivalent to like being low bronze one day and then overnight becoming a platinum player. That's what that was like. But it was for like a single player / multiplayer game on PSP where you could just download save data from the game.
But just take that out and put it in ranked on any game, and it's
it's like going from bronze to platinum. It's like that's impossible.
Well, what I was also trying to like say in regards to that issue is that it probably for you guys destroyed the suspensefulness of the game because, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys didn't earn the armor as of yet.
No. Before getting to that point.
We didn't even know what a Fatalis was, let alone a white one.
So that's what I'm saying. Like for him to come in there with the armor on, it would have took the suspensefulness away from me because it's like this motherfucker. We fighting this white dragon for how many times you guys have been fighting this dragon, and he comes in and then
it's like
he gets floored in it.
It was like going into like when Avengers Endgame came out. It's like going into the movie theater in the beginning of the movie, and it's just like, hey everybody, Tony Stark dies. You deserve to get your ass whooped. Like like.
Well, you just spoiled it for anybody who hasn't seen Endgame who watches this podcast.
That movie been out for
if they haven't seen it,
get a Disney Plus and go watch it.
If they haven't seen it now, that's their problem.
Right. If you're a fan of those movies and you haven't seen it yet, either A, you were in a coma, or B, you wasn't a fan just yet, and you're now catching up, and that's just too bad. Because it's all over the internet.
Just busting balls.
So, but that's what he did for us at that time, was like he just exposed what Endgame was for us, and we did make it to the Endgame. We did ultimately make the armors, and it took longer, but it goes again. It went back to the feeling of just being left behind, just lacking into whatever it is that you want to be a part of. So instead,
So let's take it back to the topic at hand. What should companies do about this besides sue? What are some other options, or what are some other options to exercise?
Truth be told, there really isn't much you can do.
I don't
like
think
the PC is such an open platform like Wolf was saying, some guy doesn't even have to make a website. He can just do it on his own. Like,
Mhm.
and you can ban that guy, and he'll either sit the ban out or change his IP and get a separate ban. I mean, a lot of these games they have anti-cheat software.
Yeah. Yeah.
Valorant, all the major ones have it, and those have their own host of problems too because sometimes they want access to deeper parts of your PC, and not everybody's comfortable with giving them that. And if you're not, then you literally can't play those games.
And
But
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, no,
Say it again.
I was just gonna say that even with those things, people find a way around it. So unfortunately, with the Phoenix and the Hydra metaphor, it stands true. You can only do so much. I think this is more to just send a message
Yeah, I
and to
agree.
try and curb that type of behavior. It'll always be there, especially on PC and
Yeah.
to consoles to some extent. But go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say to your point, Eos, is that I feel like Bungie and the other company, Ubisoft, are taking every action that they can take. ID ban, they have spoofing. Suing people, they have to go through legal system, which also costs them even
It
more
costs us
money.
money and time because now they have to
Yeah,
take time to do that. They have to divert what they could be putting their attention towards. They have to now divert it to that.
yeah, and I
It's
can,
just it's a sucky situation.
yeah, and then I can understand, like, let's say if the company banned said person from their account because they're cheating, with this person's character, and I'm talking about like their mindset and who they are as a person, not their avatar, it's going to be easy for them to just create another character because they didn't earn it. It's not like they worked
Yeah.
towards creating their character getting good and then they got, ejected from that character. No, they just took a bunch of codes and basically, for lack of a better word, fucked with other players. So with that mentality, nothing is going to stop them from creating more accounts, even if they didn't have the spoof. You know what I'm saying? And they'll easily climb through the ladder with that account too. So it's like, you
Yeah,
know,
it's a never-ending battle, but it's a battle you have to fight because to do nothing is to basically
Give
silence.
um
into
Yeah,
yeah, it's to basically
It's more
acknowledge the
damaging in the
existence.
long run. It
Yeah,
is
you
more
have to do
damaging in the long run
something.
because I'm not gonna play a video game where they aren't doing anything about cheaters, or if I'm constantly coming across someone who can see me through the wall or have infinite bullets or infinite health, then why am I playing this game if the community is that toxic? And that's what ultimately is going to happen if
Yeah,
you
you're
don't
gonna
try
move
and
on
do
to
something.
something else.
Yeah.
pretty much. Yeah.
So I'll say this. I think there are two potential solutions. They're not fix all solutions, but it's a start. One would be, depending on the game, having an offline option. So in something like, Apex Legends or Call of Duty Warzone, there should be an option to do an offline tournament or an offline competition, because right now it doesn't exist. If you wanted to play a competition for any of these games I mentioned, you have to be online. So there needs to be an offline alternative. That's one, because fighting games have that, right? Fighting games you could play
Hmm.
offline or you could play online, right? And most
Hmm.
major tournaments that are taken seriously are offline tournaments because there's no how are you going to cheat? You're
Right,
you're there in front of
discrepancy.
everybody. So that's one, right? And I think games in general need to be offline. That whole online all the time shit, I don't like it. That shit is annoying as hell. So it's probably not going to change, but it can help, right? The second is to start thinking about implementing design decisions to anti some of these cheats. So having perks in the games that kind of operate kind of like how these cheats operate, maybe working that into the base game design, or trying to figure out a mode in which you can do these things that might curb people from cheating, from paying for these services. Because if companies like Ring One don't make money off of it, they're going to stop doing it, right? And so if, let's say, Destiny, for example, let's say Bungie decides to have a god mode multiplayer where there's aimbots, where you can see people through walls, where you can do all this crazy shit, then people might get their rocks off in that mode and go, okay, well then I don't really need to play rank. I could just play this mode. You know
Like
what I mean? So
Well,
I think Time Splitters did that. There was a multiplayer mode, or the way you can set up multiplayer is that you can either have certain rules that just like, okay, this is just dumb because of,
yeah,
you can
you
make
could
your characters extremely big, extremely small, make your gun, like you could just do
yeah,
stupid stuff in the whole
yeah,
mode. And it's fun. It was a fun experience. It was a fun aspect to the game. But I can see that one definitely where there's a specific mode where you can just do whatever the fuck you want to do. and
right.
and just call it that. Turn on as much rules, turn off as much rules as you want, and just go ham. Um but
well,
then I don't know if they will make that a way where but what are you gaining when you do that in that mode? Is it just
That's
for
the
the
thing,
experience?
right? Some
Right.
people want the validation of being ranked high, so they're still
Right.
going to cheat in ranked matches. That's what I said. It's not going to be um, a solution to solve it entirely, but it might be a step in the
Mm.
right direction. You had something, right, Esoteric?
yes, I was gonna say to those 2 points, in regards to having an offline mode. The first one, the thing is about that, especially in this current climate, is gonna be really difficult to do because having an offline mode, like in terms of like competitive play, requires people to be within the same vicinity. So
Mhm.
it's going to be difficult, especially in this COVID climate, due to the fact that people are social distancing and they can't be
That's
around
true.
each other as often as they like. Another thing is also given our age and responsibility. Like in college, we were around each other all the time. We was in close proximity, so we were able to play games whether they were competitive or co-op on a regular basis. Nowadays, we're in different states, so it's kind of difficult for us to kind of formulate a game for us to play competitively offline. It'll be difficult because we don't have that internet access. Um, if they have like I'm not too sure about Apex or these other games, but if they have like a mode where it's online but we can have our own little group, within the online options, basically have our own room for us to play, then yeah, that might help. And to your other point regarding having certain capabilities with that allows you to like basically break the game, so to speak. The thing is about cheaters is that it's not. Me personally, I don't think it's about them wanting to have the ability to do those things. It's about them having those abilities and being able to one up a person. You know what I'm saying? If you take two cheaters and put them in the same game, they're evenly matched. The only thing that would make them different is their skill level, which then would go back to the notion of, well, shit, he's better than me. What can I do to elevate my gameplay? Okay, let's find another cheat. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they both have aimbot assist on, the cheater is probably going to find something like, well, as soon as the match start, maybe I can fucking kill him automatically. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind
You
of
know,
difficult to fix those things, in my opinion.
It is. It is very
funny
difficult.
you mentioned that. I'm not off the top of my head. I don't know which game does it, but I think it's one of the modern shooters. They have stuff like that. So if like you've been um well, it's on the same. I know for people who are toxic in games, whether it's cheating or they're dropping racial slurs in games, they have their own separate queue. I think it's called like cheaters queue or something, and it's fucking long as hell. You're sitting there for a good long while because they gotta find all the pieces of shit and they gotta give them a queue. And then when you get in there, you already know you're playing against some bad spirited players. So it's just a toxic experience all around. So some games do that. Like if you've been reported a lot for cheating or just for bad manners, they throw you in that queue.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, I've heard
the
of that.
goal is either you get your shit together and start being a decent human being and stop cheating.
It's like the
So
timeout section for gamers.
yeah, it is. So that's something that like the game developers can do to try to curb it. Because if you're constantly in that cheaters queue and you're waiting 20-25 minutes to get a game, and then your game is just horrible because this guy's throwing a racial slur, this guy's going through walls, this guy already racked up 40 kills somehow. Like it's not fun. So the idea is that you start playing fairly and you get put gradually back into the normal queue with the rest of the general population.
I
Yeah,
didn't even know
that's
they
a
got
great
something
idea.
like that.
I knew that existed. I just can't
Mm.
recall
Yeah.
which game is featured in, but I think that's a great idea. And I think it should be explored further and refined and implemented into more games.
I definitely agree. It should definitely be implemented into. It should be like one of those like staples of multiplayer games. It should be because that to me sounds like a very effective way to.
Yeah, that way, like it removes the cheaters and the bad sports from everybody else's games, and hopefully, maybe out of the let's just throw a number, 10,000 people that are in that general queue, maybe 1,000 of them go, you know what, this shit sucks, and they just like, I'm just gonna play normally. God forbid I do that. I'm just gonna play fairly, and then they have a better experience, and they're not cheating or they're not being a bad unsportsmanlike.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, it's a problem that's never going to go away until video games go away. But these companies, like we've said, they've got to do something. This is what they can do, and you just gotta. If you get a cheater in your game, you just gotta kind of grin and bear it. Maybe take an hour or two off. Let the queues filter out, and then queue up again, and hope you get some legit players.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be clear, like I don't think I can speak for you guys, but I think most of you, if not all of you, are going to agree with this point. These companies, by these companies, I mean Ubisoft, Activision, Bungie. Well, specifically Ubisoft and Bungie, they're not pursuing this court battle for the integrity of the players or the
Oh,
community.
hell no.
They're doing it to protect their own financial agendas,
Gain,
which
right.
I, from a business standpoint, I get it,
Yeah, I
but
get why they
I
would
don't
do
want to
that.
come off as like a corporate defender.
Oh,
I
no,
don't
no,
care.
no. It just so happened that
I understand that they're doing it for financial reasons to
Yeah.
protect their assets, because if 50% of their gaming population decides to stop playing the game because it's no longer playable, that's a lot of money they're going to lose,
true. And I
right?
and
And
I
stains their reputation.
that is true, and I agree with what you're saying, and not to mention that it just so happens that the actions that they take uh aligns with my views. Like you said, I can't speak for everyone else, so it kind of goes hand in hand in this particular case. Because there's a lot of business practices that these companies do happen to partake in that I disagree with. So yeah.
All right, cool. So that's Ubisoft and Bungie versus Ring One cheat makers. I don't have anything else to add to this, guys. I think we covered everything. You guys have any final thoughts?
Nope.
No, just nothing that hasn't been expressed already.
Cool.
Yeah.
So to close, just know that in my eyes, if you cheat, you're a bitch. Want to make that clear. Cheat on an online game with other people. Now, if you use mods in Skyrim or whatever, I think that's fine. But if you're ruining the experience for other people, then I don't think that's cool. I think you're kind of a bitch for doing that. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. We're gonna put a description or a link in the description of the article that we're referring to in case you want to read it and then follow along. You have that option. Yeah, that's it. Esoteric, you want to close it out and tell the people where they can find us?
All right, guys. Well, you guys can find us on Facebook, Twitter, IG at Logical Gamers. Just look for the light bulb symbol. Also,
Follow the light.
also I stream on Twitch, so definitely look at Twitch.com/Logical Gamers TV, and I'll be there Monday, Wednesday, Fridays from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. So definitely check it out. Right now I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima. Great game. I really enjoy it. And yeah, you guys have time,
Yeah.
just come through and chill.
That's Eastern time, right?
Yes, EST. Thank
Okay.
You. Thank you.
No, all good.
All right, cool. So we'll see you guys in the next episode. Later.
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 Peace.